Guys, Fulu coming to you. I want to do a commentary. This one will be maybe a bit long. To try to keep it in the theme of Ramadan, without going too hard, I decided to pull a video. Shout outs to Pink Book Lessons. She had this video, and I want to show you the differences between like how it works in a true uh Islamic concept versus how they have it here. Let's go ahead and look at it.
Running a small business means wearing many hats. Clover gives you every tool you need to run your business. X amount of money in order for them to be a woman. Support Black love, but this is also a great example of why brothers are having to go outside of our culture to find more traditional women. Now, let's be clear, this behavior is not the fault of the men. These modern women, they are raised to be combative, uncooperative.
Masculine Matilda, unfortunately. A lot of them have hella like a lot of masculine energy. Like seriously.
And just plain out of order. So let's go ahead and get into it. You have a non-black Muslim woman who's 27 years old, raised
Salam alaikum. Ramadan Mubarak to you, sister.
with a traditional family from the East, the only married woman on the panel. So the first clip is her first appearance on the show, where they talked about what could women from our culture learn from other cultures in order to maintain relations. Keep
in mind that like when I mentioned that, maybe I would be intended to someone, I was just I have to get the dowry. I was like, okay, we're discussing the dowry price. Keep in mind that a group of belligerent women, they laughed at me. They laughed at the thought of a dowry, of a bride's price. They actually laughed at that. And that's actually security for a woman. You know, depending on the amount it is.
Ships and even increase marriage rates.
They actually laughed at a traditional type of wedding type thing. You know.
But instead of listening, the older lady on the show, who was unmarried and also classified as a baby mama, kept arguing with her instead. The topic again is, why are so many women afraid of change? In you guys' culture, do you feel like women are afraid of change?
Add some more context, JR. What you mean by change?
Change meaning that toxic behavior, being loud and disrespectful towards men and to themselves, masculine. So those are just some of the things that I'm referring to when I say change. So here, we have an issue where we feel like women have a problem holding themselves accountable or allowing other people to hold them accountable.
They do. Because like when you hold a woman accountable, you're either a misogynist, you're either toxic masculinity, you're either a chauvinistic pig, you're either a black woman hater, or something like that. Now, also, if you're a woman who holds women accountable, you are a pick me most of the time.
Not recognizing their mistakes. They're trying to go back and forth with you. They are who they are, and they're going to continue to be who they are. That was a really great question posed by Lapeef. But did anybody notice the body language from the co-host? Did anybody seem to look uncomfortable when he said that people will never change? They go back and forth. I'm gonna let you look at that part again. Did anybody notice any body language here? Anybody uncomfortable here? Masculine energy. So those are just some of the things that I'm referring to when I say change. So here, we have an issue where we feel like women have a problem holding themselves accountable or allowing other.
Well, you know who didn't like it? It doesn't take a genius to look and see who didn't respect the comments.
People to hold them accountable, not recognizing their mistakes. They're trying to go back and forth with you. They are who they are, and they're going to continue to be who they are.
I don't even have to say anything. You can clearly see the people bothered by that statement because they fit into the category, and you can see who's not bothered because he is not describing them.
But in my culture, the women want change, but change does not come easily, and the men prefer to keep it traditional. So,
And that's it, and that's they should. You know, as a man, you should keep it traditional. You know, I mean, whatever has been working, don't reinvent the wheel. Okay, that's just the bottom line. But unfortunately, here in the West, they have reinvented the wheel several times to a point where, like, there's really no. It's a bad. It's a loose. It's like a loose situation. You know, so they've reinvented the wheel several times, and so it's added to this madness that we have right now.
more of a tug of war in my culture. Women want to have more freedom. They want to be able to speak up and speak out more. And I think the problem is the men, they see the Western women and they don't want to see the Eastern women turn into the Western women. No offense to Western women, but
That's a fact. Like, come on now. I wouldn't want any women from like Guinea-Bissau, from Cabo Verde, from Senegal, from Mali, from like Cote d'Ivoire. Although unfortunately Cote d'Ivoire, those women, man, they've been Frenched out to a point, like to the limit, and unfortunately they've taken on the French combativeness as well. You know what I mean? Let's Mauritania. Where else? I mean, Gambia. I guess you can also count Nigeria as well too. You know, you can count them too. But because quite as kept, they're still traditional women. You know, quite as kept.
the liberation that the Western world has seen for females has brought a lot of issues that haven't been resolved yet. And
Yep, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get resolved. I mean, I really don't think they're gonna get resolved, especially with this Will and Jada situation. That opened up a new can of worms. You know what I mean?
they only seem to be getting worse in the West. And the East.
They do. They do. They do. They are getting worse. You know, that's why for me, like I got my plan, and inshallah, I'm gonna carry out my plan. You know. Well, let's continue on.
Is trying to avoid having to go through what the West do right now.
That was Amira speaking right there. And she said, no offense to Western women. And I have to say that I'm not offended at all. I'm a Western woman. And she's talking about the difference between the women in the West and the women in the East. I'm not in my feelings because she's talking about the Western women. And I'm a Western woman because it's true.
So what do you think
Yeah,
are those
so that's Eastern
unresolved-
versus Western.
some of those unresolved issues
On this episode of
that a lot of the Eastern men don't want to subject themselves to as far as the Western women that they see?
Women being unhappy. So it's a huge now I know maybe a lot of people will disagree with me when I say this, but Western women are very unhappy no matter how.
They are. I mean, because you look at the situation with Will and Jada, she's not happy. Obviously, you look at it. You know, luckily for me, I've transitioned from like working for someone that I pretty much work. I'm working freelance for myself. But even when you look at people like Western women in the workforce, they're not happy. Like they're not happy. They walk around like very upset, and then like unfortunately that anger gets taken out on you, and you didn't even do anything. Like, hey, I just came to buy something. Like, why are you mad at me? What did I do? Um, Even at the post office, I remember when I was like getting my passport. You know, I had to like renew it. Yeah, I had to send off to renew it. Yo, the amount of attitude I got was unbelievable. I was like, yo, man, these people tripping.
Oh, they may act like they're happy. They're really not happy. And Eastern men see it. They can see Western women. They can see how unhappy they are with, they got all their liberation and so on, but they're very unhappy. And if you look at Eastern women, no matter how oppressed you may think they are really happy with their families. They're happy in their homes, doing what we normally do. Yeah.
And that's the truth. You know, like when you have like a traditional woman, she's content in her role. She's happy in her role, you know, because she knows that the thing is this, like taking care of a family and taking care of kids, taking care of a household is a full-time job in itself. You know, my wife, if I wouldn't it like me, I would be out making the money doing what I need to do, but I would not want I wouldn't mind her having a YouTube channel while she's at the house, upkeeping the house. The only thing that would concern me is who influences her, because like if she's a stay-at-home mom and these like sisterhood sisters are like out here trying to convince her, oh, you don't need to do that, then that may backfire. But like honestly, I think like in my opinion, a woman who takes care of the home is very desirable, because also how like dealing with the kids, like educating the kids and stuff like that, very important role, man, and one that will keep you pretty content, I think.
There's always going to be problems. There are pros and cons of each lifestyle, but in general, Eastern women are happier. We have happier attitudes. We're happier at home. We tend to wear more flowy dresses and smile, and we tend to be, I don't know, just happier women. And I think Eastern men, they are afraid to see Eastern women turn into Western women, turning into this person who's like, I gotta go to work in the morning. I'm tired. I don't want to come home and cook for you. I've been out working all day too. I don't want to deal with those kids. I don't know. Send them to daycare.
And that's a fact. That all of what she's saying is true. It's sad to say it, but like this happened today. Actually, this actually happened today. Shout outs to this sister. She's a traditional woman by all accounts. I was just talking about like how I'm like out of town and like how food options are kind of crazy. I'm like, yo, food options are kind of crazy right now. So what she told me is, she said, yeah, just buy a, like if you really are pressed and want to make your own food, just buy an electric stove and then you can cook it in there. So by her telling me that, and she even was like thinking about even ordering her own, that's how I know she cooks still. A lot of these Western women don't even know how to cook. It's sad to say it, but I'm actually a better cook than a lot of these women. Like I'll Gordon Ramsay that. If it was me and them in the kitchen, it would be like the African Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with having the woman turn into that. They want to have that woman happy to say, I don't want my kids to go to daycare. I want to keep them at home.
That was Amira again, and that statement was also 100% true.
They make more money than men over here. So I think that's also important too, because wealth will determine a lot of things too.
Not necessarily. Not all Eastern men make more money than men over here. And also, you have to understand something as well, that if she's talking about they make more money over here, it depends on how you manage your money too. Do you know how to manage it?
So women, a lot of us have to work because our men are not making just enough money to take care of the entire family. So a lot of us are forced to work. Are forced to work. So
Forced to work or trying to live beyond your means and you're working? Which one is it really?
I think that needs to also kind of be said. Your men are able to have 4 wives because they financially can take care of all of them and they don't have to work, which in essence would make the women a lot happier because they don't have stress of having to work and take care of home and children as well.
Sounds familiar, huh?
Well, the thing is about having 4 wives is sometimes 4 wives they play a role, and sometimes you have to deliver on that role. It's not just cut and dry you having 4 wives. I'll give you an example. I'll show you a video. Watch this. Right here. Check this out. So if he drives a Lamborghini, then that means she maybe wants to drive a Lamborghini. Now look at this. I don't know if it's real or not, but I would think it is.
Excuse me? Can I ask you, what do you do for a living?
I'm husband's second wife.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So maybe, I don't know if it's real or not, but that's just like looking at it from, since we're in Ramadan, looking at it from a jurisprudence standpoint of polygamy. If your first wife has a nice car, then your second wife is entitled to a nice car as well. So she doesn't know about jurisprudence, and she's just talking to hear herself talk, like a lot of women do.
A lot of us are forced to work. So I think that needs to also kind of be said. Your men are able to have 4 wives because they financially can take care of all of them and they don't have to work, which in essence would make the women a lot happier because they don't have stress of having to work and take care of home and children as well.
Sounds familiar, huh? Sounds like your modern woman. Sounds like your feminist. Any Carrie Hilson, any level up queen? When it's
I also want to say that about Carrie Hilson. I want to read something right now. You know, Carrie Hilson was into swirling and stuff like that, and she had many chances and stuff like that, but she kind of like that boat has that boat has like since sailed. She's 39 years old now. Yeah, that boat has sailed. She said she wants a black man and stuff like that. She had black men, but I think she was pretty difficult. And the thing is, I'm pretty sure that she was the type to deprive her man of sex. You know, I think so. Let me see if she was of. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, she it's done. You know, Carrie Hilson, it's a wrap for her, you know. In fact, look at her tweet. Let's look at her tweets. Let's see what she writes on her tweets. And this lets you know she's done. I don't know what people's obsession with being busy is in terms of adding excessive non-profitable activity to your plate constantly. Seems like people feel validated by how much they can go. I think we spend too much time doing and not enough time being. You know, she's trying to now get super deep, but she understands the reality of, she doesn't understand the reality for us, like really trying to get it. You know, she says lacking self love is very dangerous territory, which means that's a red flag that she is self absorbed. And that's why Sergey Ibaka was probably like, man, let me get away, you know. That's what Sergey Ibaka was probably thinking about, you know. Let's look at some other tweets real quick. Just to give y'all an example. Well, she was even trying to get at, it looks like she was trying to get at Lorenz Tate. But Lorenz Tate is like, yo, I don't really want to get with her. Because now she even is like making a line of clothes, that on the line of clothes it says my soulmate is black. But yet, you know, like people are staying clear of her for some reason. You know, she probably had her chances.
Speak on having to have a man with X amount of money in order for them to be a woman. Let me translate that for you guys who don't understand chameleonese. Basically, in order for a woman to be happy and for her to be able to cook and clean and not be tired and use work as an excuse.
And I want to point something out, and I'm not suggesting this, okay? I'm not suggesting this at all to my Muslim sisters. But the fact that she doesn't have a hijab on, just to show that it comes on to different levels of who you deal with. You know what I mean? And also I think sometimes a guy's aura will make a woman say, okay, I want to cover up. You know? That matters too.
The man has to make enough money so the woman can do that. This goes back to that whole concept of high value men and men of means being the only men that deserve a woman that shows them basic respect and who's willing to fulfill her basic duties as a woman. When in reality, even here...
The sad thing is, though, even if you do have Skrilla, like Super Skrilla, she's still not going to respect you. She's still going to feel like that she's entitled to the prize. You know what I mean? She's not going to respect you. And most of these broke down Beckys, or these Casper Karens, or these manic Moniquas and stuff like that, these are broken women. And honestly, they try to look for the void by getting someone with super cash flow who necessarily isn't broken.
In the U.S. a long time ago, all of the women, they were not housewives. Some of the women worked part-time or full-time, but they still maintained their wifely duties. They made sure that the kids were on point. They cooked every single night. They packed lunches. They made breakfast. And it wasn't just housewives either, because even the women who had to go to work as a maid or a babysitter, they still did what they had to do. But this is your modern woman right here. They use the man's money and the amount of money that he has as an excuse to get out of doing this work that they don't want to do anyway. Take a look at this woman right here. This is a 70-year-old grandmother, I believe, in Ghana. She keeps her space clean. I mean, she was even sweeping the concrete. She didn't even have wood floors or rugs or any of that. She woke up early in the morning. She prepared the food for her family. Her husband.
Look at how calm she looks, too. She looks chill, calm. Because she's in a habit. She has a habit. Like, she has a program that she runs. So once you have a program that she runs, it becomes second nature.
and even her grands that she had around. This woman still worked every day too. She prepared food that she would take out to the marketplace, carrying it on top of her head for I don't know how long she had to walk. And then she still came back home, prepared dinner. She had to wash the dishes with her hand. She didn't have a dishwasher or a sink or anything. She had to wash all of her clothes by hand. She didn't even have a washing machine, and she also made sure that her husband, that he was good as well. Now, if that woman can do that at 70 years old, what is the excuse for the modern women over here in the West?
Uh, the excuse is that the modern woman decided to take. She decided to be manly. That's really what it comes down to. That's what really the whole thing is about. Unfortunately, that's what happened. She became manly, man.
What's the excuse? I'm not saying this to put any culture or anybody on top of another. I'm an American too. But can we not recognize the difference here? So I would call the statement before faux femininity or conditional femininity at best.
They make more money than men over here. So I think that's also
Notice how she sounds like Cynthia G, and how much you want to bet she follows her.
important too, because wealth will determine a lot of things too.
Like for you modern women, the man's wealth determines whether or not you're going to respect him or do basic life duties, like as well as a younger Latina and a younger Lebanese woman. The black women took offense who believed that Amira's culture was classes they take. In real life, you cannot turn this on and off. And the whole thing about the man making $40,000 per year. You have Marias who come into our neighborhood every day to clean homes. This is while their husband Mario is out mowing lawns. That's what he's doing. And even though Mario may only be making $30,000 or $40,000 per year, Maria is still a feminine woman. She respects Mario, and she has no problem with cooking for Mario and their kids, even though she just came home from.
I'm not gonna cap that. Now that it's kind of changing in the Hispanic community a little bit. They're kind of catching on to, unfortunately, what the Bolejo and the Tubac are doing. Now there was like a situation where I'm seeing it more, where there are more single Hispanic mothers in the West because they took the charge, and now they feel entitled to like like what the Bolejo and the Tubac felt entitled to. Now, there was a crazy guy who actually was dating a Hispanic woman. I think she had 2 kids. He was from Egypt. Rather than get himself a traditional submissive Egyptian woman from back home, he opted for that. Meaning that traditional submissive Egyptian woman probably wasn't gonna like fall for the games, his games, because he, by all accounts, was a kind of questionable character anyway.
Working, cleaning homes for other families. But Maria still gives him the respect that these modern women like this one, that they won't basically show a man unless the man is a high value man. So this was the first show that Amira appeared on. You had Anton on there and Lapeef, and then you had the the 2 black women on there, as well as a younger Latina and a younger Lebanese woman. The black women took offense who believed that Amira's culture was being placed on a pedestal, when the whole question was simply about the women in their culture versus the women of the West. And the other thing that seemed to upset them was that Amira, the audience took a liking to her. She is the real deal. She was raised as a traditional woman.
And she's chill. You see Amira like chilling, big chilling. Where you look at the 2 Bolejo women, they look like, listen, man, I wouldn't even go up to them. I wouldn't even like, listen, man, I would like not even, I would walk the other way, to be honest with you, because you can just see on their faces that it's like, oh crap, man, I can't even say hi to this woman. You feel me?
with her father, with her mother, and she's a married woman with kids. She didn't go off at all, nor did she get offended after the German Shepherds came out, as Minister Jack would call them. So now we're about to get into the second week, this last show that Amira was on. Yes, she came back. Even after the German Shepherds came for her, she came back. And this time, Courtney, she was so ready for Amira. She had done a lot of research on Amira's culture. She had watched one of Amira's videos on her channel because Amira, she has her own platform. And her goal was to get the audience off of her back because you had a lot of people in the audience shocked at Courtney's behavior. Oh, her true colors are coming out. So many different comments. Once and for all, she was going to come and plead her case against Amira, the authentic traditional woman. And so this is what happened.
Right. Anton said it. But our culture was. Anton specifically said black culture is trash.
Okay, you're talking about more so from Anton. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm talking where we say our culture is trash in front of a different culture that only gave us, a speck of them. But it's like we all have problems. And as a black woman, I do get defensive because I'm not going to speak ill will of my culture in front of people that's not in my culture.
Okay, well, that's your problem right there. The fact of the matter is, you know what's wrong in your culture, so therefore, say what's wrong in your culture and stop trying to sugarcoat things. Okay, I'm gonna say it right now. In Guinea-Bissau, in Cape Verdean culture, we have problems. Okay, we there's still problems. I'm not saying the culture is perfect, right? I'll say that in front of anybody, black or not. So maybe you need to swallow your pride and stop this this whole masculine Moesha thing.
Just not.
Right. Like you can go inside of any restaurant, right, in the Middle East, and you can find this right here, like you would in the United States. I am a black woman from America, and I am not gonna act like we don't have a problem. This community is on fire. And newsflash, everyone sees it with social media. Everyone can see everything.
Especially on TikTok. Doesn't take that long to go viral. Trust me.
It's no secret. It's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, every single website on your mobile device. I guess all of our dysfunction is just hiding, in plain sight.
I also know that with your culture, you guys have an honor culture as far as with the Muslims. So what that means is that in the Lebanese community, they won't speak ill will. They will not embarrass, and I talk to Lebanese men, they will not deny anything that brings shame to their name or their community. You will never hear or be on YouTube where she's going to, or anyone of the Middle Eastern community is going to speak ill will about them. They'll do it at home, but they're not going to get on a public platform in front of others.
Maybe she's got it twisted because what is done is that basically they keep their problems at home, but you can see what's going on in these places if there's any issues in these places, okay? You can see what's happening. But I don't even know what she's talking about at this point. Seriously. I really don't. I don't know what the heck she's talking about, bro.
I understand what you're saying, but addressing problems, we have mostly it's handled in Arabic most of the time, so maybe you guys don't see it, but it's all over YouTube. We're constantly. Yeah, we're constantly. If you go to a channel called Memory TV, it's all in Arabic, and we're all talking about Middle Eastern issues, everything, and it's all translated in English, so we do talk a lot about it, even between.
I did check those out, and then
That whole monologue, it sounds so.
No, she didn't. She didn't check it out either. She didn't check it out. As a matter of fact, she didn't even hear about that thing until she told her. You know, it's just cap at this point. You know, it's just cap. Like she did not hear about that thing before that woman mentioned it. She needs to stop the cap. You know, it's cap with her. You know, one thing I notice about Western women, when they don't have an answer, they just make things up. That's the one thing I notice is when they don't have a response, they make things up. Like this westernized Haitian woman, very westernized Haitian woman. I just told people that, yeah, Jada was for the streets. I said Jada was for the streets. Everybody knew that. She said, "Oh, you sound like one of them red pill guys." I'm like, bro, did you not see? Have we not seen pictures of her and know her past? Really, give me a break. Let's continue though.
Familiar. Sounds like a lot of the anti-red pillars, huh? And it's funny how a person who's never been to the East overnight became an expert on someone else's culture. And Amira said that.
And that's what they're doing a lot too. A lot of these Belejo women, they're trying to like, they see where guys are going. They see where like guys are going out getting women, traditional women, and now they're trying to sabotage it, you know, by doing their little, by using shake Google, but they still can't sabotage it. It's still happening, whether they like it or not. Try to sabotage and then say these goofy things.
They do talk about their issues on public platforms. And of course, I hear white men complaining all the time. So yeah, other people, they are talking about their issues. But you see how modern women, they do away from being held accountable.
So I think that kind of was, you know, a little bit, but that's why I said on today, let's talk about your culture. And there's a lot of stuff that I learned, and I'm like, okay. So I think what I hear is,
you know, you see how she deflects? Like, you see how, like, all of a sudden it goes to her culture instead of it going to the root of the problem? You see how she does that? So, she's in defense mode. You know? It's like, you're trying to talk about her culture, but you're not addressing your own culture and their shortcomings.
with black people in the Middle Eastern countries,
Pardon?
dealing, as far as what I'm learning with, you know, black people and going to the Middle Eastern countries, how they feel, how they're treated, and even in your country, what I'm learning, and maybe that you can shine some light on, which I'm just like.
And here's where she pulled the race card. That was premeditated. She had this all planned out.
So, I'm not going to sit here and cap. There is anti-blackness in the Middle East. There's even a Lebanese, Sudanese, radio, news hosts who receive like racism and stuff like that. So I'm not gonna sit here and deny it, but we're not talking about race here. We're talking about modern versus traditional, which transcends race.
Because she said she did her research.
But Kate talked about having a shared history, a shared culture, shared tradition. I talked about marriage being about covenant, right? The whole buzzword right now is about marriage being about business.
Business.
Amira talked about family, right? So covenant is exchange for weaknesses, right? So in traditional times, if you had a warrior family and you had a farmer family, the warrior family went to the farmer family and said, "Hey, we're gonna do this exchange. You had your son, you had your daughter, and I'm gonna make sure you're covered. You're gonna make sure I'm covered, right?" So if I was to pose the question to Amira, in that situation where the gentleman came and he talked to your dad, can you break down, if possible, if it happened at all, what was the exchange in the covenant, or do you believe that marriage is about business?
Or wasn't an exchange? Because I'm learning, and even learning your culture, Amira, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that it's more arranged. You guys marry on socioeconomic status, religion. I know you guys have a very high rate of dating within families, cousins, FYI, to keep money and wealth. So it's completely different. And so I think that's what we were missing last week is the culture.
Okay, not all the time are people gonna do that. It's kind of dying out anyway that people marry their cousins. You know what I mean? It's kind of dying out. But you see this woman, man, she's disgusting. This woman is disgusting, and she's a single baby mother. So you know why she's disgusting. This woman is gross. You know. Yeah, I hate to say it. I know this is gonna sound harsh in this Ramadan, but I don't even think Allah is pleased with her at this point. May Allah be pleased with Amira for her like temperament. You know what I mean? Because she could have, she could have easily gotten like combative and stuff like that, but she was very patient and she was very cool, calm, and level-headed. So shout outs to her. May Allah be pleased with her.
We talked about religion, but the culture of it all.
When Rila was saying about the exchange, or you said exchange, correct? I don't know what was said because that was a conversation between men, and I don't really know exactly, and I don't think either one of those men are going to tell me exactly what was said, just because that's probably man talk. I have no idea.
So Amira said whenever her husband and her father had to talk about them getting married, she don't know what was discussed because it was man talk. But did you guys catch the modern woman there? She brought up the fact that in Amira's culture, they even marry their cousins out there. Amira did not marry her cousin. But what do you think the purpose was for her bringing up that point?
In a culture that will look at you as a black man as trash is a problem. And I know because hold on, I'll let you speak.
Depends. I have a Kuwaiti friend right now, and he actually is encouraging me to like get a Kuwaiti woman and what have you. As a matter of fact, he showed me some Kuwaiti woman and asked me how did I feel. So while there is the anti-blackness in the culture, that does not separate the fact that they still want black men and that there are still families willing to take on black men. As a matter of fact, I had another friend. Shout outs to Dawood. Dawood even said that there were women who actually that there were brothers who actually got married to Kuwaiti women.
Who's a problem for it, Courtney? Who's a problem for it?
And so I'm gonna speak. Okay, and it might not be a problem for you, But for me, that represents for Black love and Black folks to come together, and that we have someone on there that culture legitimately looks at you as beneath them.
And what do you do to black men? Listen to her. Listen to her, bro. How do the majority of black women look at black men, though? I'm talking about black women in America. How do they look at black men? Do they not look at them as beneath them? As like, you know what I mean? So what the heck is she talking about? She's confusing me.
As a Black man, they have words when they're in the. You go over there.
Again, you still concerned about what somebody else thinks.
Because they do.
I don't care what nobody else thinks. I only care about the results.
You're not the only one in the. Anton, you're not the only one in the. You're not. Hold on. You're not
putting words in her mouth. We're gonna let her rock. We're gonna let her hang herself. Go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to worry about whatever no one thinks about you. That's fine. But guess what? They have a code. And then legitimately, the old school Muslims from Lebanese have a code. And I read about it and I heard an old man that told me about that was. He said it's an honor code that they have. That they will not speak ill will on their women nor men at all to anyone. They will hide it, and they do, because they have a particular prestige that they want to have. They'll deal with it at home like normal families do. But they not airing their business out. You won't see not a white man, white woman, Mexican. You won't see that at all.
But outside of this show, women do it all.
Wow. You see this woman? Sad, sad, sad.
I don't care about that.
We're talking about culture.
You air your business out every single day, and you sitting here talking about what somebody else is paying attention to. You sat here on this platform and aired your whole life out, and now you gonna sit here.
That was my decision.
No.
It's not
right,
my
you're right.
culture.
And it's my decision. Now it's my decision to say what I'm.
You see how they don't take account and they talk in circles? You know, a while back, I'm not going to mention it, but I called one particular woman a clown for her antics. You know, I'm not going to mention her name, but the reason why I did it is because of like her antics, what she was doing. She didn't take too kindly to me calling her that, so she just started talking about me talking mess and stuff like that. And it's like, okay, well, you're talking all this mess and you're talking all these semantics, but you're still talking in circles, and you're still like not really, how should I put it? You're still not really, like, I guess you could say, still not alleviating yourself of what we kind of figured that you were about in the beginning of the episode.
I didn't sit here
and this is what happens when you guys allow these feminist chameleons to exist. As a part of the baby mama class, she believes that now she can control what black men say. She don't want them saying anything that's going to make her class look bad in front of the real traditional women, when it's the women like her who are responsible for this destruction in the community. And that part of them being in control of the community, running the households, that's why we are down bad as a people. We're supposed to let her tell the community what we need to do, literally telling the men what should come out of their mouths.
And you got pushback from me. So what? I still had the same chance. And that's not, you didn't say I'm wrong, but I've been very consistent. When you brought
consistently wrong on
and
this
that's
particular
fine.
point.
When you brought the white little lady on here, I said the exact same thing. When you bring anybody, I'm going to say the exact.
You hear that? You hear that? Listen to this real quick.
And that part of them being in control of the community, running the households, that's why we are down bad as a people. We're supposed to let her tell the community what we need to do, literally telling the men what should come out of their mouths.
And you got pushback from me. So what? I
Right,
still
but
had
you
the
still
same
wrong.
stance.
And you
And that's
still
what you
can't
can
stand
say
on
I'm
your point.
wrong, but I've been very consistent. When you brought
Consistently wrong on
and
this
that's
particular
fine.
point.
When you brought the white
So she doesn't mind being consistently wrong. That's how delusional these millennial women are, man. It's like they'll be wrong and they still don't care if they're wrong. It's like, what the hell, bro? You're wrong, but you don't care that you're wrong. Please make it make sense. Please make it make sense.
lady on here, I said the exact same thing. When you bring anybody, I'm going to say the exact same thing. That's my stance.
Again, it don't
and
matter.
my stance is
Your stance
now,
is against the person and what they look like, and not their
it ain't.
point.
No, it's
and
not.
that's what
It's
makes
the
you wrong.
culture.
No,
it's the culture.
when
You
somebody
know what
says
white
something,
people are called in the Middle East?
I don't care.
I know you don't care.
I
Because
don't
you don't
care.
care. You don't care.
Wait, you guys, hold on. Hold on.
I don't care.
Hold on.
But again, what it comes back down to,
I do.
when it comes back, no,
I do
I'm about to
care.
say this last point, and then Amira, you can say it. What it comes back down to is that the argument that Courtney has against people is what they look like and whether or not that's relevant and
No,
what it is that
it's
they're
not.
saying. And
Stop
she's
that.
she's not arguing against their point. She's
That's
arguing
not
against
true.
their
I
culture.
think
I hear all of you out, and I can't speak for I can't speak for everyone. Look, Courtney's talking about something that people call someone in a different country. Look, in Russia, they have things that they call people who are darker than them. In Russia, I was the N-word. In Russia, I get called the N-word because...
And it's true. As a matter of fact, there is a rift between Algerians and Moroccans, and quiet as is kept, Algerians will mess around and drop M bombs on Moroccans. Also, because of the Moorish invasions, northern Italians will drop M bombs on southern Italians, especially Sicilians. They'll drop M bombs on them for sure. So it does happen. India, for example, is the same thing with the class system.
That's how it is. I can't... In every culture, there's gonna be people who are ignorant and racist. I don't speak for them when I'm talking to you all. I speak as Amira. I'm just Amira.
Okay.
And I love you guys, and I love watching your show. That's why I wanted to be here, because of the conversations. I'm not here to represent Lebanon and the bad of Lebanon and the good of Lebanon. I'm just giving you guys a different point of view. So I'd appreciate if maybe you guys can just see me for me and not for what you may have seen in the past with some Lebanese person back in the day who may have did something.
I mean, this chameleon went on for hours.
God,
everybody was feeling Amira's mindset. Again, she's the only traditional woman on the panel. She's the only married woman on the panel. And the chameleon was not going to stop until she was able to successfully get everyone to change their positive opinion of Amira to something negative.
Is that when we bring somebody on a platform, I think it's important to vet, to see what they feel about us before they come onto the show.
Well, here's the not gonna happen. Not as long as I'm a part of this. As long as I'm a part of this show, you might as well end that right now, because it's never gonna happen.
So there was a comment that was made on one of her shows that she made, and she can clear it up, is who she thought was racist. And she made a very particular point that she said the most racist people that she know are Black and Asian.
Okay, Courtney, we're not gonna dive.
No, don't do, no. Yeah, we.
It is kind of true though, because like I notice it. Like, I'm not like grouping everybody together or anything like that. But if you're like a Black of a different background, like myself, and your features show you're of a different background, then there is going to be a sense of like, ew, like, oh, it's one of them. Amongst like, you do see it amongst Asians, but unfortunately, you do see it amongst like blacks who have this mentality as her. I'm not going to say all. I'm not going to sit around and say all, you know.
We're gonna stay
because y'all are going
we don't have to take anything personally.
It's not personal.
Lauren,
don't.
Lauren and Kay, I want you to go ahead and take us home with this.
Don't shut me up, JR. When we talk about what has been said on the platform that she had.
But we stand on. I understand that we're not talking about her platform. What we're talking about is the show last week. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and we're talking about a woman on the platform that calls us racist.
Courtney, please. Lauren, I'm gonna start with you. I want you to go ahead and take us home.
By the way, shout out to the woman, Lauren. Now, Lauren is the other black woman that's on the show. She's probably a modern woman too, but she is the only black woman who handled herself with class during this episode. So I did want to point that out as well. But you see how the chameleon is one insubordinate, out of order. She thinks that she's in control of who can be there on the show and who won't be on the show. And she's even controlling the topic of conversation. The conversation was not about who liked black people and who didn't like black people. The conversation was about what can women from our culture, what can they learn from the women of the cultures that's in the East? How can they learn how to be more feminine? How can they learn how to be more submissive and cooperative? And she's turned this whole...
Nowadays, a black girl diving into her femininity is doing OnlyFans and posting nudes. Like that's her way of like being feminine, diving into her feminine side. You know, I'm dead serious too.
Into a CNN political debate. Like I tell you all the time, these modern women, they are out of order. Literally talking over...
More than out of order. Definitely more than out of order.
The men who was responsible for putting her on the platform for you guys to even know who she is in the first place.
Hey, Court, can I ask you something?
But she also said that there shouldn't be, because this is important. You have someone on a black platform talking to thousands of black folks. We need to understand where she's coming from.
Wait a minute.
When I have someone that said they don't...
See, hold on. Let me stop. Hold on. Stop. Hold on. Let's just set this. Oh, stop. No, bro. No. One more time.
And you know why Amira is quiet and chill, calm and collected? Because she has her husband at home. She's well taken care of. This woman is probably under the stress and dismay from being a single mother. You know, usually I notice traditional women who have their husbands, their temperament is different from women like this.
Nobody. Okay, cool. Let's be clear. Let me set the standard and the stage right here. This is not a black platform. This is a platform in which we have conversations that ultimately could foster growth. No, I don't know where you got that from. I don't know where that came from.
Who mostly watches?
Yo.
Doesn't matter who mostly watches.
Please don't interrupt me again. This is not a black platform. I don't know where you got that from. I don't know who told you that. I know it wasn't me. I don't know who told you that on the side.
We're all black.
Hey, can you please stop for a second? I said, please don't interrupt me.
I literally haven't said like 5 words this whole time. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is a platform where we have uncomfortable conversations. Nobody owns it. It's here for us to not mute or censor anybody.
By the way, if I was given the choice of all the women, and this is just not based on color, I'm taking Amira, you know, and I usually don't push divesting, but if given the choices between these women, I'm taking Amira because she's going to be more or less so, she's going to be a joy to my eyes and a pleasure to my heart. For the simple fact that when I get home, I'm not going to have to hear one of them all day. Blah, 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 blah.
Regardless of how they feel, the only thing that we ask is for you to defend your position. We can feel differently, we can look at things differently, but censorship is not where it's at. I don't believe in cancel culture. I don't believe in people taking things for being something that it was not created to be. And so I don't know where y'all got that narrative, but that's not what's happening over here. We're having uncomfortable conversations regardless of who come on the platform.
And you have the two Ks both bucking up at Anton and Lapeef in public. Funny they believe that the non-black woman was an issue being on the show, but there is no issue with baby mamas and feminists being on the show.
Because it becomes a pity party together. I decided that I was going to take a a hiatus from Clubhouse for this month of Ramadan. Again, I said, I'm, in terms of YouTube, I'm still going to be on it, but I'm still going to try to like target some Islamic leanings with it that tie into what my content is already about. So, you look at this and you see the differences, and you see how things really go when it comes to dealing with you.
Okay. Yes, there are some things that are said on my channel, and everyone is welcome to check it out. What I think Courtney is taking out is the context of like what was going on, that whole conversation. If you just take one piece out and say, Amira said this, it looks bad. Of course it's going to look bad. But in that conversation, if you check out the thread that was in, there was a lot of things going on in that conversation. And what I wanted to do was flip things back on another person.
Hold on, Courtney, let us talk.
I wanted to flip things back on that person just because that person was, I don't remember the full conversation, but I do remember what I said. And yeah, and the only reason I said that is because there's certain things that I've seen, because I used to live in New York and I went to a majority black school, and things that I saw were different. And people say, well, I mean, this is a whole political conversation. I don't know if you guys want to get into politics. It's mostly like leftist versus rightism kind of thing, but if you take it out of context, of course it looks bad, but I'm not you're trying to accuse me of being a racist. I'm not a racist.
Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And we do have a special announcement while we at it. Amira is part of the Lapeef network. So let's welcome her to the network.
Thank you.
Stop playing.
Thank you. And this is a good welcome. This is a really good welcome.
You see the doggy in the background? You see her doggy in the background? Nowadays, unfortunately, dogs now may be afraid to be dog moms with these combative women, I will say one thing though, like for me, dogs are drawn to me, in like just in a like cool, calm, collected way. You know what I mean? But you see her dog in the background chilling. Where's their dog in the background chilling?
Called out. At least we get this out in the beginning. Fine, we'll get it out in the beginning.
That makes sense. Did y'all set this up perfectly? I mean,
JR set it up.
JR, I knew as soon as she got off the call on that show, JR was like, make sure you hit me in my inbox. Morpheus. Got you, Morpheus.
Yes,
Everybody clapped and welcomed this woman to the network except for one particular person.
family. It's family.
Thank you.
Oh, so she gonna be on the family trip then? if your husband allows you.
We'll see. Family trip.
Villa, she ain't gonna come after this now. Y'all done.
Courtney gonna kill me in my sleep.
No, black women don't act that way.
By hell, they don't. What are you talking about? You guys tried to set me up many times. Are you kidding me? Wow. Hey man, this is crazy stuff. This is crazy stuff.
Black women don't act that way, baby. Y'all know y'all got the Taliban over there. Don't play.
They are.
No, we don't have the Taliban here.
You see how she got mad though? And it was just a joke. And now she's doing Taliban jokes.
She just tried to say that this girl's people, they're the Taliban. Just loud, wrong, and ignorant. All I can say is I like the platform, but when you turn it from a show of male co-hosts to a show ran by female co-hosts, it's gonna always be chaotic, especially when you are continuously bringing on females who are feminists, baby mamas, and they represent the work.
304's masculine Moniquas and the like thereof. And unfortunately, she's overweight too.
Of us. Maybe they should do more like Fresh and Fit, where they have the regular male co-hosts. But
don't even mention them. Pink Book Lessons. I love you, you my girl, but don't mention those guys.
might invite different female guests, but not a regular guest that becomes a co-host, and then they think that it's their show. They think they run the show, and then that's how you get a show that was probably designed for men to be able to speak about what they think about things, to now women controlling what the men can say on the platform that was intentionally built for men. Well, that's all I got here. You guys can leave your comments.
Yeah, so I showed this, guys, just to show you that, like, if you do have a Muslim woman who is on, like, who a traditional Muslim woman from, like, Eastern country or something like that, chances are she's going to be on the hawk, and part of the hawk is being a traditional woman. You know what I mean? Like, that's part of the hawk, meaning that's part of the truth. You know what I mean? So the thing is unfortunately, like, these modern women are trying to, they're trying to, how should I say, what's the word that I want to use? What's the word? I think it starts with an I. These modern women are trying to like sabotage what's going. It's another word though. It's another word. It's enter something. You know, it's not. It's definitely not integrate. It's definitely not intercept. But it's something else. Like, but what they're trying to sabotage what traditional women have started, and they're trying to do this by going to these countries and running amok. But thankfully, though, they are not succeeding. You know. But anyhow, let me know what y'all thought about this. Foolish signing out. Njara.